Hello, everybody, and welcome to Back to School Night. You are in Oceanography, and my name is Mrs. Marcon. My email is here for you, alexa.marcon@oside.us. Email is definitely my preferred method of communication, but I also have my phone number here as well, and my extension is 8354 if you need that, and I am in room T206. A little bit of background about me. I attended UC San Diego for my undergraduate education, and I received a Bachelor of Science studying marine and environmental sciences, and I also received a minor in political science. After graduating from UC San Diego, I actually worked in scientific research at Scripps Institution of Oceanography, where I studied whale and dolphin acoustics. And I did this for several years. So I have real work experience in the scientific research field, which I am definitely excited to share with my students. I also worked at the Ocean Institute up in Dana Point for a little bit, and I worked at Birch Aquarium for a little bit. So like I said, those are definitely experiences that I plan to bring into the classroom and share with my students. I decided to transition into teaching a little bit after doing that work. And I've worked at several different high schools here in North County, including Sage Creek High School and San Marcos High School. But I've been at Oceanside High School for the last 3 years, and I started out teaching biology and forensics, and now I am teaching oceanography and marine biology. So I'm excited about these courses, and I hope your students are as well. A little bit of background about oceanography. This is a lab-based course, and it does meet the D category graduation requirement and UC California requirement as a lab science. So your student can get physical science credit for taking this class. That can go towards graduation requirements. And really the focus of oceanography is focusing on the physical properties of the ocean atmosphere, seafloor, and the coast. This is, like I said, a physical science class. And here are some topics we'll cover: seafloor movement, waves, tides, currents, and focusing how the ocean interacts with the atmosphere and how it affects our weather and our climate systems. We'll also be touching on human impacts with the ocean, and we will be doing a little bit of marine biology as well. This is the textbook that we will hopefully soon get, Essentials of Oceanography by Trujillo and Thurman. Unfortunately, we did not have these at the start of the school year, but we are currently working on getting these as soon as possible to our students. So I will send out an update when we have those ready. All right, so breaking this down by semester, we have different topics we'll be covering in fall and spring. Currently, our students are just about to finish up Unit 1, which is Intro to Science, Earth, and the Oceans. The next unit will be going into plate tectonics and the ocean floor. Our third unit, air-sea interactions, so thinking about how our atmosphere and our winds affect our oceans. Unit 4, ocean circulation, thinking about global currents, global ocean circulation, and how that affects us here on land. Unit 5 will be focused on tides and learning how tides work and why they're important. Unit 6 will be focused on waves and water dynamics, learning about different types of waves and how waves can affect our shoreline depending on what the shoreline is composed of and how that wave is coming in. Unit 7 is focused on the coast, so that will be beach and shoreline processes. Unit 8 will be focused on marine sediments. Unit 9 will be focused on ocean chemistry. And lastly, Unit 10 is focused on human impacts on ocean systems. The materials that your students need for oceanography include a spiral notebook or a 3-ring binder. They have the choice to either do the notebook or the binder. If they do a binder, I recommend they also get the dividers to separate each unit. They also need to have their Chromebook charged and ready to go every day. They need something to write with. I recommend this 4-color clicker pen. My students know by now that I really do like to do notes in different colors. We're constantly using different colors in this class because research shows that when you use different colors, your brain actually remembers the information better. So I highly recommend this pen. It's not required, but it is great because it makes it super easy to switch between colors while students are taking notes. A highlighter is also required, and a good attitude. And some other things you might want to have for your student include their own glue stick, because we are constantly gluing things into our notebook, so it might be nice for them to have their own set of colored pencils or markers. We, like I said, use a lot of color in this class. And a calculator. And these are optional. I do have these items that students can borrow, so it's optional, but might be helpful to have. Okay, and I apologize in advance for there being a lot of information on this slide, but this is all very important. So the grade breakdown is up here. So assessments, including quizzes and tests, are 40% of your student's grade. Classwork and homework is 30%. Labs and projects are 20%, and the midterm/final is 10% of the student's grade. So in regards to classwork and homework, classwork will be kept in the notebooks or binders that your students have, and we will be grading them periodically through a notebook check. So they will get points for those assignments that they do in class. Some homework assignments I will be putting online as online assignments. This includes things like Edpuzzles or maybe typed assignments, and these can be completed through our Google Classroom page. Just a note for students, if they are quarantined, they are still expected to keep up with assignments, and they can find daily agendas and work on Google Classroom. I post our weekly slides on Google Classroom where they can find all the information they need, and I post digital versions of the assignments that we do in class online on Google Classroom. So they can find everything on Google Classroom, and if they are having issues with that, then they are welcome to email me. In regards to assessments and tests, I do have a retake policy. So students that score a 70% or lower on the test will have the opportunity to do 1 retake per test. And they will receive a maximum score of 70% on that retake. So even if the student on the retake gets 100%, the maximum score I will give them is a 70%, because that's not fair to those students who, really studied the first time and did well the first time. So that's something to keep in mind if your student does decide to do a retake for this class. If your student does worse on the retake than they did the first time, not to worry, I'll keep whatever score is highest in the grade book. I do not allow retakes for quizzes. Something to note as well is that all assessments are closed notes, and they have to be completed on their school-assigned Chromebook. They are not allowed to complete tests or quizzes on their phones or a personal laptop or personal computer, or tablet or other device. It has to be completed on the school-issued Chromebook. And there are no retakes on the midterm or final. Okay, late work. I also have a late work policy for my students. So students were given already at the beginning of the semester 4 late work passes. And with these passes, a student can turn in the completed assignment with the pass, and they can receive full credit for that assignment. And they can turn this in at any point during the semester. And if the student does not have their late work passes, maybe they use them all up, they can still turn in their assignment without a pass. That's totally fine. To receive partial credit, no more than 70%, depending on how late the work is and its completeness. So I'd rather have students turn in late work than not turn it in at all. I can at least give them some partial credit for turning in their work. So keep that in mind. Okay, and the grading scale for this class is pretty much normal. The one thing I do want to point out is that because quizzes and tests are weighted so heavily in this class, I did decide to lower down what your student needs to get in order to pass. So usually to get a D to pass the class, your student would have to get a 60%, but I actually lowered this down to a 55 in order to compromise for how heavily weighted the tests are. So in order to pass, in order to get a D, your student needs to get a minimum of a 55%. And that is it for back to school night for oceanography. Thank you. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me. My email is here, alexa.marcon@osci.us. Thank you. Have a good night.